All right, ladies and gentlemen, you there? I want to make sure that we've got a signal. You folks picking it up? We doing okay? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. All right, well, we need to talk right now, folks, because I want to talk to you about. I want to talk, and I hope the notifications are going out. And I hope that loud and clear, notified. Good. Okay. For those of you who are not aware, the criminal government that runs our country, the criminal government that runs the Federal Communications Commission, and the criminal government that runs the academic apparatus in the universities, the colleges, the medical system, it's all criminal at the top, folks. That's right. Now, we've got a situation where a study was put together called the National Toxicology Program Study. It was put together by the United States National Toxicology Program. Okay? These guys were testing cell phone radiation for cancer on rats. Okay? Now, these guys were looking at cell phone radiation on rat hearts. Now, I don't know how many of you have your pet rat use their cell phone. So, and I don't know how many of you have your pet rat using their cell phone next to their heart. But I do know that according to the people that produced this study, John Butcher, a senior scientist at the NTP, stated that we believe the link between radio frequency radiation and tumors in male rats is real. Tumors were also found in the hearts of female rats. Folks, they tested this for like 20 years, okay? But here's the deal. They tested on rat hearts, and they were using 900 megahertz frequency bands, and we haven't used those for decades in the United States. We're not using those frequencies anymore. So they're giving us a study with the lower frequencies on antiquated technology on rat hearts. Now, why am I on the air right now talking about this? Because 5G is coming. 2G, 3G, we're on 4G right now. Most of the telecommunication systems right now are running 4G LTE. Okay, we're up in 1200 megahertz up to 1800 megahertz. That's the range that these cell phones are running on. Just depends on what you got, where you're at. Folks, look, okay. I'm going to quote this real quick, and I'm going to get off this. They were exposed to 2G radiation, the globally prevalent cell phone technology, when the studies were designed in the 90s. 900 megahertz, folks. Ron Melnick, the senior toxicologist who designed the studies, and he left the agency in 2009, said that the March peer-reviewed process said that it's unlikely any future study can conclude with certainty that there is no risk. Okay, this guy's saying there's no peer-reviewed study that's going to come out saying that there's no risk. In other words, he's saying double negative. There's no guarantee of safety. Okay. And he believes that the FDA should put out guidance based on the results of the studies. And he said it would be irresponsible to not put out indications to the public. To maintain a distance from this device from your children. Don't sleep with the phone near your head. Use wired headsets, which would emit less radiation. This would be something that the agencies could do right now. So this is a guy named Ron Melnick, the senior toxicologist for the National Toxicology Program. All right, ladies and gentlemen. I want to talk to you. Let's talk about this woman. Her name's Sharon Quirk Silva. Her name is sexedsilva.com. She's an assemblywoman looking for re-election. All right? She's ignored what's going on in the schools with the iPads in the laps of these kids. These iPads are in the laps of these children all day, and the antenna is at the bottom of the iPad, right on top of the kids' zippers, right on top of their reproductive organs right on top of the girl's ovaries. Sex Ed Silva is a teacher. She's running for office. Go to sexedsilva.com, or actually you can contact her at the state capitol, Sharon Quirk Silva, Sex Ed Silva. That face, that does not look like her in real life, folks. That's airbrush. She doesn't look like that up close. Believe me, I've spent lots of time looking at this woman while she was on the floor to the city council, and she does not look like this, folks. Okay? Really, really bad, really, really sick person who has ignored the plight of the children. And this is the kind of people we got running for office. We got kids sitting in classrooms with iPads in their laps, folks. When the National Toxicology Program just came out and admitted that the old technology causes cancer, that there's strong evidence, peer-reviewed studies, peer-reviewed conclusions, and it's their belief that it caused cancer in rats. Okay, so is that significant? Well, of course it is. And then they went on to say in this National Toxicology Report finding that the exposure levels on these rats were higher than normal cell phone use would be in humans. How many of you, when you were 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old, kept an iPad in your laps all day at school, and then when you came home, played video games on it? When you're at the restaurant, played games on it. When you're in the car, played games on it. When you're in the stroller, played games on it. When you're at the beach, played games on it. When you're at the baseball field, played games on it, with the thing in your lap on top of your reproductive organs. None of you did, because that's why you have children right now. But these children in the schools, there's another one. She wants to be a school board member. Another one silent on the wireless. You see all these people? Really disgusting. Educators. We got evidence that that wireless causes cancer. And I have for years spent my Tuesday nights, my Wednesday nights, my Thursday nights at school board meetings passing out flyers on cars for years, folks. I've paid for tens of thousands of flyers to be printed. I've run for office. I've spent many, many nights away from home at meetings trying to influence local bodies, the local elected bodies that make decisions, such as the elementary school board, the high school board, different school boards around the state of California. I've been to the Capitol a couple of times, in the legislature. I've addressed the legislature several times at the state level. I've been to county board of education meetings. I've been to various city council meetings trying to stop the cell towers from going in, trying to stop the Wi-Fi from going into the libraries, trying to talk these people into opening their eyes. What do? They don't do anything. So we got this information out today on the National Toxicology Report. National Toxicology Program studied this stuff for 20 years, giving rats heart cancer. But here's the thing. These rats don't have an iPad on their heart all day. Okay, the kids do. We have a situation where we have parents who used to drive by me out on the sidewalk when I was holding up the banners trying to warn them not to irradiate their kids. And you know, this is really crazy. The amount of stuff I'm getting in the mail from these people that are running for office. I have to tell you that not one of them is worth a damn. None of them. None of them, folks. They're all crooks. They're all liars. This one's really special right here. Okay, there's this lady. Her name is Jennifer Harris. I'm going to mention her name specifically. And then below her is a picture of a Beverly Berryman. Okay. She wants you to vote for her on the school board. Okay. This is what came in the mail to my house, folks. Now, the reason she wants to be elected to the school board is she's got children in the schools. She's a woman who's claiming that the reason she's more qualified to be elected to the school board is because she has her own kids in these microwave chambers. Now, when she was confronted with this information, her husband wanted to split hairs about some legal issue he's having with somebody else over the use of a campaign slogan, and completely ignored everything I said about the dangers of microwave radiation in the classrooms. Now, her opponent, Beverly Berryman, has been bringing microwave radiation into the classrooms for years in the Fullerton School District, folks. And she also is the head of the local PTA that encompasses this part of Orange County. So she has been the PTA president for some time. So this is the current school board member, Beverly Berryman, who has ignored everything I've told her and provided with her. We've sent her formal demands to shut the Wi-Fi systems off in the Fullerton School District. No response, no action, no nothing. We've sent her formal demands about the high school to shut the wireless off in the high school. We even have a situation where she is the head of the PTA over some of these high schools where we have classrooms with metal walls, sheet metal walls, and Wi-Fi systems that are designed to run 200-300 devices per access point. And she ignored us, ignored everything as the president of the PTA. So what we've got here is a woman who's microwaving her own kids right there on the top, and a woman who's microwaving everybody's kids on the bottom. And it doesn't matter which one of these women gets elected, all the kids keep getting microwaved. That's my point, folks. This election is really a wash. It doesn't matter if you're listening to me and you live in Fullerton. Both of these women are absolutely worthless when it comes to the kids. Okay? They don't care about the children's health. We've got the National Toxicology Program that just released its results today, November 1st, 2018, peer-reviewed scientific literature that states that there is clear cause for concern over the connection between cell phone radiation and cancer in rats. Now, any of you who've ever dealt with rats, they're tough. They have lots of babies. They eat lots of crap. They eat pretty much anything. They can eat through anything. They can live through anything. They're almost impossible to kill, and yet they're getting cancer from this stuff. But we know human beings can't live through everything, can't eat through anything, can't live on everything, can't live very long eating crap, and yet they're being microwaved at a young age in these classrooms. And we have elected leaders and people that want to get elected to office that don't want to face the reality that the children are being microwaved by the school districts, because the children are not being exposed to normal levels of cell phone radiation. They're being exposed to extremely high levels, abnormally high levels of cell phone radiation. Let me tell you why. Because the iPad, when it's in Wi-Fi enabled mode, emits more radiation than a cell phone does when you're talking on it. The iPad is not something that is held up to the person's head. It's in their laps. There is no bone to protect the reproductive organs from the antenna of the iPad. Now, Apple has conveniently put the slot antenna at the base of the iPad for the Wi-Fi transmission, which is conveniently located right on the zipper of your son or daughter in direct proximity to the reproductive organs. And I've discussed at length how Apple's corporate headquarters has landscape architecture plans that lay out the sterilization agenda. You can go to WiFiDangers.com. It's right on the front page. You can go to the FullertonInformer.com. It's right on the front page, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not making this up, folks. You know what's more disgusting than a woman that turns her back on children? You want me to tell you? 2 of them. That's really disgusting. So we have children that are being forcibly exposed to microwave radiation in classrooms. In some classrooms, like at Troy High School in Fullerton, California, where my next door neighbor works, he developed a brain tumor. He's 10 years younger than I am. He had his head cut open and had a tumor cut out of it. Another lady just died over there, breast cancer. Another guy that works there, he's younger than me, and he's got, I think he's got Parkinson's. Metal walls, sheet metal walls, high-powered access points in the place. They've had pink fluorescent lighting for years there. Really bad environment to work in, and it's ruining the staff. And you got all the kids at Troy High School that are taking medication, headache pills, lots of depression, a lot of suicidal kids over there. A lot of kids can't sleep. A lot of kids on drugs. And, the metal walls and the microwaves are a bad combination, folks. You don't put children in rooms with metal walls and high-powered wireless access points. Now, in light of the National Toxicology Program results that were just released today, over a 20-year period, they're looking at the old technology, which is like it's not the same frequency, folks. The higher the frequency, the closer you get to the bad news, okay? And that's what's going on. It's moving up the spectrum, folks. Now they're moving it up to the millimeter waves with the 5G, but what I'm getting at here is the schools are the chief exposure areas for your children. Your children, they could be on a cell phone watching a movie. They'll have it on the desk or whatever. They'll be texting their friend, and it'll be 20 it'll be 25 inches away from their body. But the iPads and the laptops that they're forced to use at school, there are no warnings that are on these things. The school district refuses to warn the children of any dangers of keeping these devices in direct proximity to their body. The Fullerton School District Superintendent, his name is Robert Pleka. He belongs in jail, ladies and gentlemen. In light of what has just been released today, Robert Pleka belongs in prison. And I just may call for his arrest very soon, folks. I'm looking for the right opportunity and having the right documents drafted to put that man in jail for assaulting 15,000 children in Fullerton with his technology program. In light of what has just been released, every single wireless device in every single school classroom should cease to be in operation tomorrow. Now, if any of you out there are teachers, you need to stand up for the children. You need to do your homework on the results that were released from the National Toxicology Program today. The results were released in 2 phases. Some last year and now this year. And this year's results are more conclusive than last year's. This stuff is dangerous. It's bad news. And yet, why do we have children who are being forced to use a microwave transmitter when we have studies that were funded by our own government, which is run by criminals in the first place, who will hide the truth at all costs, are actually leaking out this information because they're forced to? Maybe that's their catharsis, their way of being Pontius Pilate, washing their hands of this. I don't know. But at the very least, every single wireless device that is in existence and that is in use should have a warning label on it from this point going forward that this product can cause cancer and to keep it away from your body. But no such label exists for any wireless device in any school classroom in the United States right now. And that's criminal as well. So it's the responsibility of the school district officials and the school district staff and administration to ensure that the children's safety is tantamount. That is their primary responsibility while they're in their care, custody, or control. And they're doing no such thing, because I know from firsthand experience in Fullerton, folks, that for the past 5 years, I've been to many school board meetings for both the high school and the elementary school. I've been to many city council meetings in Fullerton, in other cities. I've been to county board of education meetings. I've been to other school district board meetings in other cities, and I've spoken at length and laid out the same facts, that this stuff is dangerous, this stuff causes infertility, this stuff causes cancer, and nobody cares. You know why? Because they're all a bunch of worthless politicians, folks. And, you know, I don't care how many pictures you can show me with your kids, or, you know, how you can airbrush your husband's suit or whatever. It doesn't matter, folks. And it doesn't, you know, the city council guys, same thing. You know, this clown right here, Doug Chafee, he wants to be the county supervisor. Look at this guy. Look at, you trust that guy? Look at this guy. This guy looks like something out of a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, in my opinion. This guy has voted to put cell towers all over Fullerton on public property. And, you know, he has ignored everything I've said about the 5G. He went ahead and voted for the boilerplate, you know, agreement for this telecom to put 5G antennas on all the light poles. Look at this guy. Seriously. Look at this guy. His name is Doug Chafee. All right. He's Fullerton's mayor right now, folks. He's the guy that closed the meeting down the other night. I think you saw him when I called him out on, hey, why didn't you tell the people, why don't you stick up for the residents, Doug, about the spraying, you know? And he says he can't. Well, you know, anyway, that's Doug Chafee. This guy right here, he's a real piece of work. He wins the lottery. His name's Gil Cisneros. He wants to take your guns away. He wants to fight for your wife's right to kill her baby. And he wants free stuff for illegal aliens, and he wants you know, kids to learn about having 2 dads, and he wants to, you know, basically make everybody with a job pay for all the people on welfare. This guy's a real creep too. Look at this guy. He wants to be our congressman. I guess I might as well go over these right now. You know, it's all about I don't know. It's really disgusting. You know, they want you to think that gun violence is caused by guns, folks. Gun violence isn't caused by guns, ladies and gentlemen. Gun violence is caused by mind control subjects, people on psychotropic medications, and the Hollywood theatrical productions that they run on the television set, folks. Yeah, you know what? We got a lot of problems in this country, but guns are the least of our problems. And you got people that want to take our guns away, but guess what? Then you got people that, they want the guns. The Democrats say, we got to give up our guns. It doesn't matter whether a Democrat or Republican gets into the office, folks, because they're all working for the same monster. Once they get in there, this is funny. This is Sex Ed Silva talking about there's certain lines that should never be crossed. All right. Sex Ed Silva, okay? And don't be fooled by that nice picture. She doesn't look like this in person, folks. Okay? Like I said, I've seen her many times. This is not what she looks like. This is a good airbrush job, though. But anyway, she's ignored what's going on in the schools for years, for 5 years. As a teacher in the Fullerton School District and on the Fullerton City Council, she's ignored it. And she talks about there's certain lines that shouldn't be crossed. Yeah, guess what? Sex Ed Silva, you need to get the wireless out of your classroom tomorrow. If you're going to work tomorrow in the Fullerton School District, or because you're up in Sacramento or wherever you are, you need to make a phone call to the Fullerton School District to shut off the wireless in the schools, folks. That's right. That's right. It's funny. Sharon Quirk Silva wants to have higher. Look at this. She wants lower sentence for sex crimes. You believe that? She hasn't done it. She hasn't done a darn thing about the massage parlors, folks. Here's one right here. This one's a real joke. This is Young Kim. She's a Korean running for Congress. And when the vaccine, here's a picture of her. When the vaccine law was in front of her in the assembly, she wouldn't take any phone calls from her constituents. The forced vaccination law, she wouldn't talk to me. She wouldn't meet with me on it. She wouldn't talk to anybody about it. She wouldn't meet with anybody about the forced vaccination law. Okay. So, she's a Republican and she's worthless. And the claim to fame of people like Sex Ed Silva is, in this Democrat, what's his name, Cisneros, is we want to protect a woman's right to her body, which means we want to protect your right to kill your kid, folks. That's what these guys are all about. They're all about reducing the population. This bastard right here, his whole thing's about women's reproductive rights, and he wants to be a big socialist, and he's a scumbag, folks. He's a typical gun grabbing scumbag and tax raising scumbag. And so are the Republicans, because they all vote for this stuff. They're disgusting. These people are disgusting. Okay, it's all a bunch of nonsense. This. I can't even keep up with this stuff, folks. Let me try to dig through a little more here. And they're trying to make the Republicans out to be like hate mongers because they believe in we should control our borders. Do you know what's going on right now, folks? Look at this. Look at this stuff. Look at this. They're trying to make this guy out to be the Mad Hatter. Sex Ed Silva doesn't want this one. You need to vote for Alexandria Coronado for state assembly if you're in our district in Fullerton, folks. And that this is what Sex Ed Silva is trying to turn her into. They're trying to say that kids aren't safe because people have guns and that guns should be abandoned. She votes for things that are common sense gun laws, and the Democrats hate that. Democrats want your guns, folks. They want your kids. They want your kids to learn about alternative lifestyles. They want to take all your money if you get a job or start a business, so they can give it to all the illegal aliens and all the people who don't want to work and stay home and pig out on junk food on the EBT card. And I'm sick of it, folks. I'm sick of paying all these taxes. I'm sick of when I have a day off, I can't go anywhere because the roads are full of people that don't have a job and they got free money and free housing and free gas and free health care and free everything. And if I have to get my son in for a sports physical or something, he's got to wait, 6 months to see a pediatrician that he hasn't seen in 20 years. It's like really crazy how the entire look at this. You gonna vote for this guy? That's Barry Soetoro right there, folks. That's right. And he's endorsed by Lou Correa and all these liberal nut jobs that push for forced vaccination, kinky sex ed, and Common Core and big taxes. But the problem is we have a Republican that's not worth anything either. This is a good one. Gil Cisneros, can you see this? He says he's on our side. He said he's going to stand up for a woman's right to choose. And he's going to guarantee access to affordable quality health insurance. He's going to ensure equal pay for equal work. So this guy wants to stand up for a woman's right to kill her baby. And he wants everybody to have free health insurance and make people like me that get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and go to work to pay for it. And he wants to make sure that equal pay for equal work. What does that mean? Does that mean that legal aliens are going to get to make the same wages as everybody else? Or is he saying that women make less money than men? Actually, to be honest with you, the facts that I know of is that most women make more money than men now because women get hired more than men. There's more unemployed men than women. So this is nonsense. This is really all about the woman's right to choose is all about the woman's right to rip her baby to pieces and sell it off to the food additive companies, the biotech companies, to make flavor enhancers for Pepsi out of them, or to make vaccine parts, or to sell the body parts to the body parts business, folks. And then here's his opponent, Young Kim. She's a piece of trash too. I mean, she voted for the forced vaccination law, and she voted for the law that takes away the rights of local municipalities to resist cell tower sightings. She's no good either. The left or the right in Fullerton is just down the drain, man. I mean, look, anyway. So, I get all this junk in the mail, and these people are a bunch of clowns. They're worthless. There's nobody to vote for, except for Assembly. You want to vote yes on the gas tax repeal and even that's been hijacked. That Prop 6, they got it worded to where you think if you vote for it, it's going to result in cuts to everything. No, the gas tax needs to be repealed. And by the way, where is she at? What's her name? Sex Ed Silva? Where's she at? Is this Sex Ed Silva right here? Yeah. Sex Ed Silva. She gives us abortion and open borders. She gave us the gas tax, folks. This woman right here was the vote that gave California the 40-cent a gallon gas tax. You're looking at the woman who took 40 cents a gallon off every person in California that drives a car. Her name's Sex Ed Silva. She is a degenerate, complete degenerate, folks, and she wants to be the assemblywoman for Fullerton. Go to sexedsilva.com. That's one of my websites. But she's the one who gave us the gas tax. She was the mayor of Fullerton when Kelly Thomas was murdered, and her solution was to give socks to the homeless. And she's been in the assembly. She's done nothing to reform the police officers' Bill of Rights. And now her husband, who couldn't find his way out of a wet paper bag in a thunderstorm, his name is Jesus Silva. He sits on the city council now because his last name is Silva. And all the anti-Trump sentiment got him elected. And like I said, he couldn't find his way out of a wet paper bag in a thunderstorm, folks. Listen to that man talk. Jesus Silva on the Fullerton City Council, and you would not believe that the guy's a teacher. And I pity anybody who has kids in his class because I'd hate to see what they're learning. Back to this issue, folks. This is not good. This is not good. The National Toxicology Report came out, once again, to recap, and what we've got on our hands is a wireless holocaust, ladies and gentlemen, because what's happening is they for over 20 years, they were looking at this old technology that we stopped using, except for maybe the cordless phones that are still in your house. Some of these 900 megahertz cordless phones are still in use, perhaps. Most of them have moved up to 2.4 gigahertz and up 5 gigahertz. They've moved up the band. But we're not using 900 megahertz systems in cellular communications anymore. And yet they determined that rat hearts were getting cancer from the cell phones. Well, look, folks, if they were really legitimately concerned with the truth, then they would be looking at fertility. They would be looking at the effects on the human egg and the sperm, because after all, the wireless agenda has many prongs. And one of the key components of the current wireless agenda with Wi-Fi in the schools is a sterilization agenda. This is extremely important that you understand this, folks. You go to the front page of the FullertonInformer.com and the WiFiDangers.com, and you can see this. Okay, this is extremely important that you understand. Now what we've got going on is now they're rolling out 5G, which is millimeter waves. It's even higher up the spectrum. They admit that there are no studies on human health for this stuff, folks, and 5G is coming. And guess who's pushing 5G? That's right, Trumpty Dumpty, folks. You heard me. That's right, Trumpty Dumpty's nationalizing the deployment of 5G everywhere. And he's getting a lot of help from the weather controllers that are running hurricanes through areas that are wiping out all the infrastructure. 5G goes in real fast. And millimeter wave backhaul systems go in real quick, folks, without even any discussion. You know, it's like when Katrina went through New Orleans, all the environmental laws on what the oil companies were going to do with all that waste went out the window. They could just dump the crap everywhere, and that's exactly what's going on, folks. They've gone, like in Fukushima, you think there's any regard for nuclear radiation exposures and dumping into the ocean over there now? Once the disaster hits, it's all out the window, folks. That's what they'll do. They'll engineer a few storms to run through an area and knock down all the trees and all the poles and break all the wires and break all the conduit and destroy all the underground transformers and all the generation systems. And before you know it, boom, 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 up goes the 5G. Instant solution to a manufacturer problem, folks. And so that's a big part of why we're having all these weaponized weather systems, folks. It's to wreak havoc so they can bring in their replacement to the copper cables, folks. Really sad, but that's reality. You know, it's where we are. Are you really afraid of guns? Well, the Democrats want you to be. This is paid for by the Orange County Employees Association. You see, the government, they want your guns, and the Democrats want your tax dollars so they can pay the pensions for all their pals that are part of the system. Now, the Republicans are just as bad because they want your votes and they want your taxes so they can use all your money to bomb countries back to the Stone Age overseas. It doesn't matter whether people get killed here with the abortion clinics or sterilized in the schools or killed off in the hospitals with all the medication, or, you know, euthanized in all the eugenics programs that are taking place here with Big Pharma. Because the net result is, if there's a Democrat in office, people get slaughtered here on a higher frequency because everybody gets more free stuff to go to the doctors and get killed faster. And if a Republican's in office, you get a little bit more of your taxes back if you're on the upper side of things, but then more people die overseas because they start all these wars. But the net result is that the human population levels drop the same. And that is the goal, folks. That's the devil's goal, is to kill everybody because he hates people. And that's why he's got us hating each other. He's got this false dichotomy of Democrat and Republican. They're all a bunch of crooks and a bunch of liars. They're all worthless, folks. They're no good. So, you know, I really don't want to go into much more detail than the fact that the jury's in on wireless. It causes cancer. Get all this crap out of your house. And, you know, everybody that works for the school districts that's forcing the kids to use all these wireless devices, you need to go to jail. You really do. And I know most parents are not going to do anything about this because, hey, I will be the first to admit, I understand a lot of you out there are in a financial situation where you can't afford to take your kids out of school. And, you know, your husband doesn't want to give up, you know, the 12-pack tonight and go down there in the morning because he's going to have some excuse on how he doesn't have time. And I know some of you moms, and you're the ones that really make me the sickest of all, because I know it's really not about anything but your PTA pals and your friends. And, you know, you know who you are, especially in this community, especially in Fullerton. I know who you women are. You're disgusting, okay? You make me sick. You're a joke. I know who you are. You attend these functions. You get all dressed up and pose for the pictures for the Technology Foundation to raise more money to ruin kids. You're really buddy with these PTA people that turn their back on these kids. Everybody in Fullerton knows how bad wireless is. Everybody in Fullerton who has kids in the schools knows that these things are ruining their kids. And they don't do a damn thing about it because they want to keep their happy party going. They want to have their drinking friends. They want to have their glamour shots with the bimbos. I understand that. You guys never got out of high school. I get it. That's your problem. But unfortunately, it's become your child's problem because they're getting microwaved and they're going to get cancer and they're going to become sterilized. And that's a fact. These studies that are released as of today are 20 years behind, folks. They've already got the next 20 years mapped out. And your kids aren't in that future, folks. There are no plans for your children to have children. And I think if you look at the population forecast, you will see what I'm talking about. They're not hiding what they're up to. They're just not telling you that they're doing it right now. They're going to tell you in 20 years, this is what we found after everybody's gotten back from going to high school and going to college and then getting their master's degree and then doing a postdoctoral and getting their PhD and then going to residency. And so by the time they're 32 and they've got, $600,000 worth of tuition debt and they finally find Mr. Right and they try to get pregnant, then they'll realize, oh my gosh, I'm infertile. And so they're going to go to in vitro and spend a whole bunch of money and their kids are going to come out retarded because of in vitro screws up the eggs. It's never good. I mean, these fertility things that you're not supposed to stick an egg with a needle, stick a sperm in there, folks. That's supposed to be a natural process that takes place. And a sperm's supposed to hit that egg in a billionth or a trillionth of a second. You have a zone of reaction that hardens that egg and doesn't let any more eggs in. The door gets open and shut real quick. And that happens to be run by a subcellular component of the human egg called the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. And that subcellular component, the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, just happens to be the subcellular component that has been shown to have had morphological changes affected to it by low-level microwave power, non-thermal power levels of microwave radiation. According to military studies, morphological changes to the smooth endoplasmic reticulum were observed by non-thermal power levels of microwave radiation, which are the same levels in frequency that are used in iPads and Wi-Fi enabled devices in schools. They're conveniently designed to have a slot antenna at the base right at the location where they can penetrate your child's body to destroy their eggs, folks. And then there are studies that were done on rats where they strapped a microwave transmitter to the abdomen of a rat, and for 15 minutes a day for 15 days, they use the same frequency that the iPads use, same power level that the cell phones use. And they analyzed these rats after they sacrificed them, and they found that in some cases, some of the rats had a 75% decline in their ovarian reserves. That's 15 minutes a day for 15 days for rats, folks. How about 5 hours a day, 365 days a year with your kid playing Minecraft, Pokemon, or making slime videos on their iPad? Folks, look at me. Listen to me. When I say you women make me sick that drive by my banners and dump your kids off in your fancy SUVs while you're out jogging trying to work off the frosting you ate the night before, I'm not impressed with that. And what makes me sick about what you do is that you are literally turning your back on your children, and you know you're doing it. And there's a reason why your husband has to drink himself to sleep, because he doesn't want to face it either. But that's not my problem. My job is to tell the truth about how all these people that have made these decisions to go against everything that we've explained to them and entered into the public record. My job is to make sure that they end up in jail someday. That's my job, and I'm going to make sure it happens. I'm not sure exactly in what sequence or in order of events that's going to take place, but I guarantee you that there are going to be a lot of people in jail when all this is said and done for what they've done to these children. And you moms are the worst, because the women are the ones that have the maternal parental instincts to protect their flock. They're supposed to keep their arms around their children. Men are supposed to be the providers out there making it happen. I understand you guys are busy. I know the sports is really important. I know you got to keep that monster truck 6 feet off the ground and maintain that macho image. Maybe get a few tattoos and shave your head to act tough. And then you let your wife dump your kids off and get irradiated. And, you call the cops on me because I'm out there holding up a banner. And, I'll be yelled at and flipped off by some of you real tough guys out there that work for the city or the fire department. Well, you know what? Go screw yourselves, because I don't care. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you do. Now that the 5G is coming, did we talk about 5G? I think we've talked about it plenty of times. That's right. You see, folks, they just told you that the old stuff from 20 years ago gave rats heart cancer. Now, these knuckleheads in the government ain't running tests on what it's doing to the female eggs. They ain't running tests on what it's doing to the sperm. They're not running tests on what it's doing to the brains. They're not running tests on what it's doing to the breasts. You see, all these young girls are keeping their cell phones in their bras and they're getting breast cancer. School district won't talk about that. They won't warn the children. I've gone to the high school board meeting many times asking them, please warn the children about the dangers of using these things. They sleep with these phones under their heads as alarm clocks. These girls are putting the phones in their bras. You cannot put a microwave transmitter on a mammary gland. You cannot put a microwave transmitter next to your optic nerve. There's people getting retinal cancer, there's people getting breast cancer, and there's people getting sterilized by keeping these things in their laps. School board won't do anything about it. PTA won't do anything about it. The moms won't do anything about it. And the dads can sit in the backyard watching the ball game, filling trash cans full of beer bottles in my neighborhood. That's what they do, folks. That's what they do. Okay? And it's going on in a neighborhood near you. And that's wrong. It's not right. So now that we've got 5G coming, we know what happened to the embassy workers in Cuba, and we know what happened to the State Department workers in China. They were victims of millimeter wave targeting, where they were suffering what they called acquired brain injury syndrome, okay, where there was damage to their brain. The scans indicated brain damage, and they weren't able to determine the source or the cause of brain damage. Can you imagine just getting brain damage out of the blue? Oh, well, looks like we got some lesions here. You know, we just don't know what caused it. We're sorry, but you're exposed to something. You're going to wake up before it's too late? I hope so. I hope so, ladies and gentlemen. I really do. Now, you can lead a sheep to the shearer, folks. That's what the TV's for. The TV is designed to lead the sheep to the shearer. The TV is designed to lead the sheep to the slaughterhouse, folks. I'm trying to bring the horse to the water. And you know what? A lot of you are coming. I appreciate it. Those of you who don't want to listen, go back to waxing your cars and go back to saving your money, because you're going to need it for your daughter's fertility treatments, which she finally finds Prince Charming. Assuming she doesn't end up marrying Princess Charming. Because that's another part of the agenda that you're part of out there, and you all sit back and ignore. That's right. So, you know, there was a concert that I wanted to attend this weekend, but I couldn't manage to get myself to the MGM Grand or to the Forum this past weekend. But I wanted to see Phil Collins, and I wanted to hear him sing one song. And that was Against All Odds, folks, because you want to know something? That song is the theme song for your children. If they are to have children someday, in light of everything I've just said, and that's in light of everything I've been saying for the past 5 years, publicly, in meetings, online, written communications, in newspaper articles I've been quoted in flyers I've placed on vehicles, it is against all odds. May your children have children, folks. Under the current present circumstances, it is not looking good. And with the parents stuck on stupid, the odds are even more stacked against them. I ask in Jesus' name that you will open your eyes, that you will repent of your cowardice and your apathy, and look up the National Toxicology Program's results that were published. And mind you, these are government studies that were put out, and you know that they cut the corners off this thing. They cut the couple first layers off of this thing. They don't want you realizing just how horrible this stuff is. So they're going to put lots of extra Splenda and NutraSweet in the frosting on this thing. So when you take a bite out of this poison, you realize, oh my gosh, well, it's really not that bad. Yes, it is. Because if they were really concerned about how safe this stuff was, they would be running ongoing tests constantly on different simple things. And here is how you can determine how safe and how dangerous Wi-Fi is. You can go and buy a couple of hamsters and put them in a cage in your garage and see how many babies they have. And then you could get another couple of hamsters and put them in a cage in another part of your house and stick a Wi-Fi router in there and see which ones have babies, folks. Did you hear what I just said? Now, you could do that if you have a license to experiment with animals. Will any high school do this project? No. Will any college do this project? Why not? How come we can't get high schools with hundreds of millions of dollar budgets to perform a simple experiment on Wi-Fi in a hamster cage? It costs a sum total of about $30 to run this experiment. That's right. That's right. They spend more money on the Coke machine dispensing Diet Coke in the teacher's lounge on electricity in 1 month at Troy High School, so these teachers can get brain tumors from the microwaving of aspartame in those metal walls. That's what happened to my neighbor. I believe the guy was an aspartame junkie, and he's microwaving aspartame. I've done an article on the microwaving of aspartame on the Fullerton Forum. That's how you get brain tumors, folks. That's how you do it. You drink a bunch of Diet Coke and you have a bunch of wireless radiation and you get brain tumors. That's just how it works. But they spend more money on the electricity for the Diet Coke machine in the teacher's lounge every month than it would to run this experiment to determine whether or not we're harming the kids. And they don't want to know. You know why they don't want to know? Because they don't give a damn, folks. And whose job is it to care about the kids? It's all of our jobs. Okay? Because we're all in this together, and there's going to come a day where my daughters and my sons are going to have to get together with your daughters and your sons and go off into the sunset with a wedding ring on and start a family of their own. And it doesn't do any good if my daughters have good eggs and your boys have no sperm. And it doesn't do my boys any good if my boys have good sperm and your daughters have burned up eggs. Because that's the reality, folks. None of us is living in a bubble. And we're all in this together. So open your eyes and get involved. This is Joe and Brianna signing out. We'll be back at you in the morning, folks. God bless.